It's 1 o'clock and we are back on our HubLive. I think we were missing last week for HubLive because Drew and I were in China, which is what we are on the couch to talk about today. So as you know, we do these HubLives to talk about new technologies and to help business owners adopt technology and modern best business practice to improve your businesses. But what we have to share today is a little bit off topic, but super interesting, because Drew and I had an incredible experience in China last week, and we would really like to share with you the learnings that we got from that and what we saw and what we experienced and how the Chinese are using technology, which is a bit different, right? Hello,
Exactly.
Drew, how are you?
Hi, Elize. Thanks very much for having me on stage today. Yeah, that was incredible. We were invited by IDG Asia to the China High Tech Forum in Shenzhen, which is a huge thing. It's an annual event. This is about the 13th year that it had run for, and we did present and participated in several things at the Asia Pacific Smart City Development Forum.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's correct, right? We participated in several events across a couple of days.
Huge.
But let's go back to where it all started, Drew.
Yeah.
Because all of this opportunity came about really because of the Smart Way Forward strategy and the smart city work that Rockhampton's been doing. Can you give us a bit of background as to where that started and the journey so far?
Okay. So we started with the development of our Smart Way Forward strategy back in about August of 2015. Prior to that, we had Cyclone Marcia, did a lot of damage and created a lot of chaos. A lot of businesses, businesses went out of business, and never recovered. The mayor and councillors identified that we needed to look at these smart city concepts and what that could mean for our region. So we started that work in August, very quickly got it together, and a lot of community engagement and consultation with business and teaching fraternity and other business health and that sort of stuff. Our strategy was adopted in December of 2015, and then we just set to getting things happening with it. So it was never to be a book that would sit on a coffee table. It had 36 outcomes that we squashed together into 34 actions in an action plan that we were to start delivering on. A bunch of those were all of the smart technology stuff that we've done in our CBD, the airport and Kershaw Gardens across the board. So free Wi-Fi, the LED lighting which we control remotely, speaker systems, digital banners, the smart parking solution and the smart hub. So all of these things are set out in the strategy, and I think to our benefit and to the benefit of all of those people that have been like head down, bum up with this. We have done some fantastic things, and we have achieved, what the strategy, laid out for us to do.
Absolutely. So in 2016, this is prior to me joining the team. Yeah. In 2016, just before I came on board, this strategy won an award, right?
Yes,
Tell us about that award.
All right. So that was the Economic Development Australia Digital Entrepreneurs Award. So we put up the strategy, for in an application process, which is how you generally get awards. So we did that, and we're very fortunate to win that, and that was like a national validation of our strategy. At that time, we won that award towards the end of 2016, so we had already commenced quite a good range of things. One of those was that we had approval from council through a concept plan a business plan put together that you know, council agreed to the smart hub, and we'd started that in a small way, and a lot of the technology in a few of the areas on Key Street had been completed. So we knew these things were going to work, which is why we set about you know, letting the rest of the economic development world in Australia know about it.
And we were up against some fierce competition. I know Ipswich was in it.
Yes, that's right.
And, yeah, and we won. It was phenomenal.
Yes.
And then, okay, fast forward to maybe about 6 weeks ago, a month ago. I can't remember exactly when it all happened.
That's right.
Young, which is on this call. Hey, Young, thank you so much for joining us. Came to see me and said, well, there's this opportunity, and I know that Rockhampton won the award, that Australian award in 2016. Would you like to come to China and present?
Yeah.
And I know I gave you a call and you said yes, which I was very excited about. Have you regretted that decision?
I think we're still recovering a bit, hey?
Yeah,
because
we really are.
It was we were away for 6 days. 2 days in Shenzhen, China, and 2 days travel either side. And those 2 days, I mean, did we take a breath? It was just full on.
Oh my goodness, yeah, very full on. Even the travel was full on.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we summarised the experience, and we're going to show some photos and videos and tell the whole story of what happened there in a moment. But I think both you and I looked at each other after and said it was such a challenging but extremely worthwhile experience.
Yes,
Extremely good experience
for
us.
Confronting. We said confronting but challenging, but not confronting in a bad way, but confronting in China being such a different culture.
Yeah.
The language barrier is always a problem, so we had we had an interpreter with us most of the time. And then we had the devices in our ears listening to the words being interpreted to us. So those things, all those delays were just sort of difficult to stay in a conversation.
It required a lot of concentration, that's for sure. So hey Jane, thank you so much for joining us for our HubLive today. I'm on the couch with my manager and a man that I have huge respect for, Drew Stevenson. And Drew and I travelled to China last week, and we're just telling the story of what happened and what we learned and what we've discovered about the Asian market, and also how Asia, especially China, is using technology to manage their cities and manage their communities, and we'll get into that in a moment. Okay, so we left Rocky last Tuesday and arrived in China on the Wednesday, and then we had the afternoon to recover and prepare.
That's right. Scout around and work out get the lay of the land.
Exactly. The high-tech fair, which is what we were part of, started on that Wednesday when we arrived in China, and it ended on Sunday, didn't it?
That's right.
So, and our involvement was really on the Thursday and the Friday. And we travelled the Tuesday, Wednesday, and then travelled back the Saturday, and we arrived back in Rocky on the Sunday. So it was pretty full on. So imagine this. On the Wednesday, we arrived, we got ourselves together, we went for dinner in the nighttime, had an early night, went to bed, and on Thursday morning, after a quick breakfast, we actually walked to where the high-tech fair was. And we walk up a ramp. Daniel is helping us with our HubLive. Daniel, can you share that photo of where I'm standing in front of there's like a circle of plants? That's where... that one. Perfect. So we arrived to see this. This is the entrance of the high-tech fair, which was really, really awesome. Then we actually have a selfie, but the selfie wasn't so good. So it wasn't so flattering, and I didn't have your photo. So is that the next photo that is on screen or not yet? It's on screen now. Okay, so then we go into a room. I'll just tell the story and then I'll refer to the photo in a minute. Hey Derek, thank you so much for joining us. I'm just telling the story of our trip to China last week. So then we arrived. There's a photo, Daniel, of a wall with our photos on it. So we arrive at this. There it is. There it is.
That one.
So we arrive and we have to go to the VIP entrance, which we finally found. And Paige, who was looking after us, met us there. And so she took us to this room, very imposing looking room I don't have a photo of the room, with lots of big couches. How were you feeling at that point? That was a bit confronting.
Well, it was a whole world of unknown. You know, the only people we knew was it were you and I, and we'd met Paige the day before, but we'd been conversing over the email with Paige Yi from IDG Asia for some time. So yeah, it was just you and I, and then we met another English-speaking gentleman from Norway who turned out to be a really good colleague over the 2 days. But extremely.
It was intimidating for me.
Oh, yes.
I have to say.
Oh yes, just the unknown.
Yeah, and then we had the whole exchange of business cards, and who entered the room was everyone from. Who is the person from the actual Chinese government?
He was the head of the Information Directorate of China.
A high level.
So the Chief Minister of Information Services, yeah.
And the Vice President of Alibaba, Huawei, ZTE, they all came into the
mayor
room.
of Shenzhen.
The mayor of Shenzhen.
13 million people in this city, by the way. Here we are, our little region of 87,000 and 6,600 square kilometres with 0.13 of a person per hectare, and they're 13 million in this Shenzhen, all living small, really. They live small but do large. It's so large.
Yeah, the scale is amazing. Yeah, but it is pretty densely populated. The thing that blew me away is that Shenzhen was built in the last 30 years.
Yes,
like the whole city, which is very impressive, was constructed all in the last 30 years.
And what we stayed in had only opened in August.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Our hotel was pretty good, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Anyway, so then we do the whole formality of exchanging business cards, which I was observing everyone to see how that worked. So we did that. And then we walk up to where we were going to present. Just show the photo of the wall again. And there we are, against the wall. No, the wall with that one. Yeah. And there we are. Photos of us against the wall next to all these high-flying, high-presenting people. And as we entered into the place where we were going to present, they announced everyone, and then you had to go and take your seat, and Drew was in the front row and I was in the second row, and then the formalities started.
That's right. Yes. Yep, getting your name announced and who you were, and turning around, bowing to the crowd, and and it was a big crowd. Yeah,
it was a big crowd, definitely. And then we went to, and then you presented. How did that go, Drew?
Yeah, well, for me, some little technology issues, but
they were tiny. They weren't too bad.
I think they were accepted really well, wasn't it? It was just outstanding. The whole experience of doing that as well, we tell the story about the lady that spotted us the following.
Absolutely, tell that story.
Yeah. So, I mean, to give us an idea of how impactful that was, we had some people. First of all, we had some people from the Australian consulate from Guangdong, and they, there were good comments from them, and interesting that they took these things on board because they asked a lot of questions out of that.
Yeah.
But we had this tradition every night after we'd had dinner, whichever time it was at night. Some of them were late, except for the Thursday night. We didn't. We were too tired.
Yeah, well, we'd
go and get an ice cream. Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
So we'd go to a Haagen-Dazs place across the road and get an ice cream.
It was a little comfort.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we were having our ice cream, and this young lady came over and had a little bit of English, and she then started to say to me, you were the one that spoke at the forum the day before, and yes, and so then it was and she showed us some photos of me speaking, and I said to her, what did you think? And she said, was really good, but too short, didn't she?
Too short, yeah. Yes. She said Drew didn't have enough time to speak and present everything. She wanted to hear more from you.
Yeah, and it was true. I mean, we really had to compress what we wanted to say to fit into this whole agenda of me speaking, Elize presenting, and then we had that panel, then we had a round table, and it just went on, didn't it? Like started at 8 o'clock and finished at 10:30 at night. And I'm looking in the agenda and I'm thinking, Now, when is the bathroom stopping here?
There were none. There were no bathroom. That's exactly right. So essentially just to chat through the Thursday, which was our really, really big day.
Yeah.
We went to that introduction room where we met all these high-flying Chinese people, and then moved to where we did our presentations. And then you sat on a panel, and actually I do have a photo of Drew on the panel where it's on the stage, Drew and the Vice President of Alibaba and a few other Huawei,
the Minister of Information, and ZTE.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you were asked questions and you had to answer. Can you remember what you were asked in that panel?
Oh, it's quite funny, hey, because part of the focus of the forum was 5G and AI. So China is hugely into 5G these days, and we're only really right at the beginning of the process for us. So it was about that and how what that would impact and what the impact would be. And so I was more, like our strategy is, it's more people-centric, it's more community-centric. So I took that focus on how that would be, and just sort of a little bit of our experience and what we had done as a council so far in that area of that 5G rollout. It was interesting though, because we had to have those little interpreter things in our ears. So the presenter would ask a question, it would get converted to English with an interpreter in the back of the room, and then would speak that into your ear. And that delay was a bit difficult too, because he had finished speaking and I'm sort of like, just waiting to get to the end of the question.
There was a silence, in the auditorium.
So I'm looking at the rest of the panel going, I'll get there soon, and then spoke. But that was good.
You did exceptionally well in the panel discussion.
Yeah.
And then we raced off to have a very quick lunch, and then after lunch we came back. I presented. Daniel, could you see if you can show the photos of Drew presenting and maybe of me presenting? So the panel one, and that's Drew on the panel. That's
the panel.
Excellent. So that was Drew sitting on the panel.
Yeah.
What I saw is that all along there were everything was very formal.
And there
very
might be
formal.
some others there where we're on the...
No, that's back.
Yeah.
There we go. That's another. That's a photo
that was
of
at
the panel.
End, so they're big on photographs.
Yes, we did the panel photo, and then there's one photo with the mayor on the screen where I presented. So that happened in the afternoon. No, not that one. Moving forward, I think it was the last one probably that I sent to you. Can't take over the video. Sorry. So then I presented, and then we went to what they called a matchmaking event.
Yes.
That was probably one of the most challenging events for me, specifically because I had a bit of trouble understanding exactly what the purpose was, even though I think the language barrier was a little bit of a tricky thing.
That's right. And just the way that the questions are expressed from a Chinese point of view, we might ask the question a little bit more differently. So then you're just trying to hope that you fit in with that theme and how they were asking. And I took it as a brainstorming, information sharing type thing. And so we were here's Elize and I up at the big table with a bunch of really big Chinese city representatives, the mayors or vice mayors, executives. We had a gentleman from Norway, one from a lady from Portugal, us, and then on the outer seats, sort of there as observers, not participating, there were representatives from Finland, Cyprus, Switzerland, and I thought there might have been one more.
There was one more.
Yeah.
I forget.
And they did say Singapore and New Zealand might have been there somewhere.
But I didn't see anyone. So we were well and truly surrounded by mostly Chinese people from China, and there were just a few people from Europe, really. And as you said, that was an information sharing. So that was the photo of me presenting. So that happened after Drew had the panel. Thank you.
And one of the things, just hang on a tick, one of the things that they were truly impressed with is that we had 2 videos that were produced by one of our members in the hub here.
Yeah.
And so he produced these videos on the Smart Way Forward and on the Smart Hub a little while ago. We refreshed them in August, and then I asked him to put the Chinese subtitles on the Chinese characters on it. And that was a huge hit in China. They just thought that was so good.
Yeah, they absolutely loved the subtitles. So that's me presenting. The video is playing, and the video starts with Mayor talking about the Smart Hub. In fact, I think you can find that video on YouTube if people are interested. We can probably post the link in the comments if you want to see the Smart Hub video without the subtitles.
Yeah,
we don't have the subtitled one on YouTube.
Yeah.
So, so then we went to the information sharing afternoon, which when we shared information.
That's right.
In fact, at the end, it was interesting when the person who was chairing the whole meeting said he was satisfied that everyone had shared. Like that was a thing. Like
Yes,
if you
that's
hadn't
right.
shared, you would be in trouble.
Yeah, and the Minister for Information, he had to sum up, and that he was the one that said, yes, I'm satisfied everyone has shared. Yes.
Exactly. And then after that, we were invited to a gala dinner. And did you start to feel a bit more relaxed at that point?
Well, actually, I thought I like a beer, okay. And after that, such a big day, and it's quite warm in Shenzhen, and warm in the building. It's air conditioned, but you're just working so hard. So we went into that exclusive gala dinner thing, and sit down and think, okay, now we can take a bit of a break. But I'd love to have someone throw a beer in front of me.
Oh, yes.
But that didn't happen.
No, so when we walked in, there were glasses, big glasses, but with a tiny bit of wine.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that I didn't drink the wine because I was
I
super tempted.
I thought the same thing. It was red wine, but there's a story to that too.
Yeah, so we'll get to the story. So I was starting to feel a bit more relaxed, and then the big surprise happened.
Yeah.
And the big surprise was, and we do have a video which we would love to show, the big surprise was that Rockhampton was named as a leading Asia Pacific smart city.
Yeah, that's right.
And Drew, you were invited up on stage and to accept the award. So if we can get the video up, then you and I, like there's sound to the video. Can we hear the sound? Yeah, it's playing. You can actually hear the Chinese.
So it's a lot of pomp and sort of ceremony to it. Okay, you might realise that the P's missing in Rockhampton. So that was
tiny oversight.
They were so hurt by it too. We didn't say. We just said, well, okay, that's good.
Yeah.
But they were a little.
So where's our show and tell? We can show that after we show the video.
Yeah.
Now we are going to have Mr. Drew
Yeah, that video is really great. Beautiful ladies dressed in traditional wear, delivering the award that we'll show in a moment. Drew accepted the award on Rockhampton's behalf, and then something quite funny happened. What happened, Drew?
Yeah, that's why at the moment, I don't have the interpreting here, so they're talking to me at times, and I'm not too sure what they're saying. So that was a little bit funny. But when they hand out the trophy and the certificate, I sort of immediately realised that I don't have the Rockhampton one. So, and what has occurred here too, unfortunate, but which it's no fault of our Chinese hosts, but the things are written in English, so they, as much as we can't understand the characters, probably some of them can't understand our Chinese, our English. So
exactly.
Yeah, they didn't realise I'd gotten the wrong one, but 3 of us did. So the 3 of us on the end, at the end, it's a bit of a comedic thing. We're sort of looking at each other and just swapping them around. Who's a
swapping trophies. Okay, so here it is, right? It's awesome.
Yeah.
And you said it looks like plastic, but it's actually all glass.
It's solid glass.
It's beautiful, and it's quite heavy. Yeah. Exactly.
You bought it back in your bag.
I did. I can
attest
to the weight of it. But it was well worth it. It was a great surprise and a great gift, really.
That's right.
At the end of such a long day.
Yeah, well, look, I talked about national validation for our strategy, and this was international validation. This is Asia Pacific. IDG Asia is part of IDG, and they're a big international company.
Global, yeah.
Yeah, global company, so information company. So,
And
really cool.
Yeah, and they are really, they organise the high tech fair every year, don't they?
No, IDG, they organise
yeah.
the Smart City Development Forum. The China High Tech Fair is China.
It's a Chinese initiative.
Yeah, because it not only has the Smart City, but it has a whole heap of other sort of areas all the way through that great big entertainment centre, you know, defence and agriculture and all that sort of stuff, and Smart City. And the thing about that we went when we went the next day. I know I'm cutting through to the next day. We had a VIP tour. You know, again, our photos up on the wall, and these photographers chasing us around like paparazzi, and took us to this one thing that had what's the image recognition stuff, the AI for that.
Yes.
And by then it was about 11:30, 12 o'clock, so halfway through the day, and they had 6,000 people through that area. And the way that software broke it down, it broke down demographics, so it could see male, female, it would do a head count, male, female, age demographics, so throw you into an age group, and also cultural heritage, so you know whether you're foreign or whether you're Chinese.
Was super impressive. Hey John, hey Kylie, thank you so much for joining us on the couch today on our HubLive. I'm joined by Drew Stevenson, my manager, and Drew and I went to China last week, and we're just sharing some of our experiences. So we're just at the point where we're told about winning this amazing award and getting international validation for the smart city work that Rockhampton Regional Council is doing. And telling a little bit about the Friday where we had an experience in the actual fair. I think this is a really good spot to talk about what we saw in China, how they are using technology. Really the 5G AI, that's where their entire focus is at. Everything was surrounded 5G and AI. What did you see? What did you observe, Drew?
Yeah, look, their whole, and in the presentations we heard the day before, they are quite government-centric in their big data. They've got it done in the way that they collect data and the way that they present it. Absolutely incredible, and what they then do in those analytics. However, it's just available for the government, so it's not.
It's not available.
It's not for publicly. The community. So the way that our Smart Way Forward strategy is, we're people-centric. It's community-centric, and what we are trying to do is to improve the livability, the economy of our region, and grow our economy and make a place for tourists to come again and again, and for people to stay, for our young brains to stay or to go, and make sure they come back. So that's the focus, and how I presented it, how we presented it over there. They're more government centric, so they do it well, but it's just for them alone, just for the government and management. So to be able to detect crime, fight crime, or even detect someone that looks like they're in the process of maybe doing crime, doing something criminal, and also monitoring businesses, and to be able to predict how a business is going, and then maybe, in their words, be able to assist them with writing, you know, how they might be, things might be going for them.
Absolutely. And so to assist them in doing this, managing the community and keeping the community safe is essentially, I think, what their focus is. Where for us it's more about increasing well-being and livability, and increasing the services and making it easier for our community. For them it's more about management. The way in which they do that is they rely heavily on cameras everywhere. So this booth that Drew is referring to, when you walk into it, you don't realize that there are like probably 10 cameras all around a tiny booth, and as you said, then that is captured, that information is captured, and the data is analysed, and then at the front of this booth they have this huge big screen that indicates how many people have been through the booth, whether they're male or female, their age, and whether they're foreign or Chinese.
All this facial recognition stuff.
Facial recognition is huge in China.
It is
absolutely everywhere.
Yeah, and we probably went through that when we arrived, going through customs and immigration, and similarly when we departed. So that sort of stuff would have been happening as well, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm still wondering what they're doing with the 50,000 photos they took of us. Yes, I'm a bit worried about that actually, because they can essentially probably do anything they want.
Oh yes,
with our images. And I do know when we went for our Chinese immigration photos, we were talking about that the other day, where I had to retake my photos so many times because I couldn't have any hair touching my ears, so I had to tie my hair up in several ways to get my.
I didn't have a problem with that.
No, you were right.
Yeah.
That's good, Drew. There's an advantage to everything.
Yeah.
So on the Friday we have some more photos, Daniel, of our high-tech fair visit and all of the tech we saw. There's a little video there of Drew doing some virtual reality hologram.
Oh, that's a bit weird.
Holograms stuff with the dancing images. So we have just some random photos of what that looked like. Yep, so that was a photo of just randomly taken. That was at the high-tech fair itself, which we visited. That's how many people, just to give you a sense of how many people there were. We have Paige and Drew's back. So Paige, standing next to Drew, was the person who really looked after us, and she did a fantastic job. Of course, we had a robot. We actually had a couple of robots, but that robot did not speak English. But we were reassured that it could speak English if it was programmed to speak English, but it wasn't programmed to speak English yet.
Yes.
You keep rolling through the photos. That's it? That's all I sent? Okay. So what were your observations of the high-tech fair, Drew?
Well, they just reinforced, what they were saying the day before in their presentations and how they present the information. I found it interesting with one of them, one of the cities that presented, and they talked about how they ordinarily the experience is that you go into. I pictured it like a city hall, if you want to do business, you have to go to multiple booths. So their latest thing is to not have an online service. They kind of don't do that, but I think they were wanting to head to that direction. So they'll have what they were talking about essentially was a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
Which is, when you think of all the other things that China has done, that is something that we're well advanced in. Our online, you engage with council online with a lot of your services, paying your, registering a dog and, rates and putting in a building application, all of those sorts of things. They can all be done online now. But those were sort of new concepts that they were heading towards. Interesting. It'll be interesting how they deal with that, because China is quite bureaucratic, and I don't actually think they have too much unemployment, because they have everything has a job. So when it comes to that point, I don't know how they'll deal with it when it's like self-service or a singular service rather than multiple people doing things.
I didn't get the impression that they have realised that the technology could create employment challenges. I don't think that was a concern for them at all, or even a realisation.
No, I think, but some of that, the way that they are presenting their data, and they're collecting their data for presenting the way they did, which was absolutely superior. A lot of the ways that they did it took manual entry.
Yeah.
So their data was daily updated. Some of it was real time. Always, if it wasn't real time, it was updated daily. So, and I did ask a couple of times how that occurred. The language barrier became difficult to get the answer to come around. But I think from what I took out of it was that they had people that did that data entry. So it was like that end of the day data entry to update overnight. So that is still areas of employment for them, because our challenge is always, how do we get that data in to be able to present it? And we have that challenge because we don't have that same day data entry type thing.
Yeah, exactly. Hey Jade, hey Wes, thank you so much for joining us on our Hub Live today. We're talking about our China trip last week. We arrived back in Australia on Sunday, and both Drew and I were just saying before we got on the call that we feel like we've been away and we worked really hard, which is I think exactly what it was.
That's right.
We're still on the recovery route, really,
yes.
Getting back to our old selves. So Drew, what was your overall impression and what do you think you learned?
Well, like I said about the whole data thing, and I certainly learned that the difference that when we always talk about smart cities and smart city concepts, you go to these forums quite a lot and someone wants to get up and present to you a definition of what it is. I really avoid that. All I want to say is that we are adopting the smart city concepts for the way that they work for us to address our challenges and to benefit of the positives of our region. So and we're people centric, whereas they're good with the smart city stuff, but they're government centric. So it's all about government management and safe management of the people. So that would be the thing that it's like it's like diametrically opposed, but it's still smart city. Yeah. Smart city.
Well, that's one of the things that I learned. Smart city means different things to different places.
Always.
It's all about the application of solving local problems. But I think my biggest takeaway was the following. Two things. The first one is that at any time, a place like Rockhampton can make a decision that kind of changes its direction, which is what happened here in 2015.
Yeah.
And secondly, the work that you've been doing and that we as a team have been doing was really validated as something that is globally recognized and like nationally recognized, and we're actually doing okay. We're doing good work.
Yeah. Well, and just one last thing too. Our Norway government gentleman Solver, he said, if you took what we did over to Norway, he would guarantee that there would be, a big bunch of representatives from Norway that would want to come to Rockhampton and to learn more about it, because he too was blown away. And I did say one thing when we were in the round table. I said, okay, we're not a city of millions. We're a region of 87,000. But I truly believe that we're punching above our weight. And I saw Solver from Norway down the other end of the table shook his head very heavily, because we'd spent a bit of time with him talking about what we'd done, and he totally agreed that that's the story's the same in Norway, that people talk about what they're going to do and continue to do so, like Ghana. Where we've just gotten in, with the support of the community, the support of the university, all of us, it takes a big team to get this done. The support of the mayor, councillors and fellow executives, we've done some really big things, and you need all of that. You need a clear direction, and we had that with our plan. And as I said when I presented that at for the very first time in early 2016 after adoption in 2015, I just sort of put it on the table and said, well, it's not going to be a book that'll stay on the coffee table, the strategy, and that's the last time it'll be on the table. Because it's a book of action, and that's what it has been. And
we've pretty much executed almost all of the actions in the book, right?
As I said at the forum, we're about 90% implemented. And there's a few things that we talked about doing back in 2015 that we've moved on from. That that's the way the world has changed. So some of those things don't need to be done because they're done in a different way. And we're just sort of pivoting to that.
Absolutely. So I think Rockhampton has truly become validated as a smart city. So if you're watching this, hey Craig, thank you so much for joining us. We've just come to the end of our Hub Live. Our awards falling over. We were just talking about our trip to China and where we won this award, we being Rockhampton, as Asia Pacific leading smart city. So what I would like to do is, if you are not sure what all of the smart city talk is about, what it means and what it's about, what we'll do in the comments is we'll post the link to the Smart Way Forward strategy so that you can take a look at that strategy if you're interested. We will also post the 2 videos that we both showed in both of our presentations. So the first video is about the whole Smart Way Forward strategy and more technology focused, and the second video is more specifically about the Smart Hub, which essentially is one of the actions in the Smart Way Forward strategy. And then of course this is our very proud award that we received in China just last Thursday, saying that Rockhampton is a leading smart city in the Asia Pacific region. So Drew, I've been hoping that you would join me on the couch since the beginning of the year. I'm so grateful that you said yes. Thank you so much, and thank you Jacinta for organising this for us. And if you want to know more about our trip to China, join us at 3 o'clock this afternoon on 4RO, where Drew will be joining me for the radio interview with Laurie. And of course, we'll be back next week for more HubLive. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Elize. Thank you.